Have you ever wondered exactly where Armenia is located in the world? Europe or Asia? If you think the answer is simple, you're wrong. Because Armenia is the only country that has been trapped between two continents, two cultures, two identities, and two completely different perspectives for centuries. And you wouldn't believe that even the United Nations still can't decide where this country belongs. Stay until the end of this video because you're about to hear facts that no media outlet has revealed until today. Armenia is a small, mountainous country with no access to the sea. But it has a history and culture much larger than we could ever imagine. At first glance, on the map, it's in Asia, right next to Iran, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey. But when you look at the language, religion, art, and lifestyle of its people, you feel like you're in the heart of Europe. A people who grew up with Russian tea but fall in love with French music. A country where both Russia has influence and the European Union has plans for it. And it's this very contrast that makes Armenia one of the most mysterious countries in the world. Let's start with history. Armenia was the first country in the world to adopt Christianity as its state religion in 301 AD. That's centuries before Rome, France, or England became Christian. For this reason, it has a special place in the heart of European history. In its architecture, its churches, its ancient stoneworks and crosses, you can feel the scent of European civilization. But on the other hand, when you look at its geographical location, it's in the Middle East, in the Caucasus, a region between Iran and Turkey, so geographically it's Asia. Now, let's talk about politics. After the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, Armenia joined the Commonwealth of Independent States, CIS, the same former Asian bloc. But just a few years later, it also became a member of the Council of Europe. This means, at one point, it was on both lists. It was part of the Asian countries and voted in European institutions. This political duality has left geography experts puzzled. Some say Armenia is Asian because it's in the southern Caucasus. Others say it's European because, culturally and historically, it belongs to the West. But the truth is more complicated than that. But now, get ready for a real shock. Armenia is a country that, on the surface, may seem small, but the mind and spirit of its people live in two completely different worlds. Imagine this. In the morning, as the sun rises behind the Ararat Mountains, the sound of church bells echoes through the city, and people head to work, all while everything, from money to politics, is under the shadow of Russia. But when night falls, young people wander the streets of Yerevan, drinking espresso, listening to European pop music, and talking about Paris, Berlin, or Amsterdam. In one day, two completely different souls exist in one body. At schools, children are still taught with textbooks printed in Moscow, but on their social media they follow Western trends in fashion, style, and lifestyle. On TV, Russian programs air, but on YouTube and Netflix they follow European life. It's as if one half of them is stuck in the East, while the other half is trying to pull itself to the West with all its might. This contrast is not just seen in their lifestyle, but in the very face of their cities. Gray Soviet buildings alongside neon signs and modern cafes. Armenia really is like a suspended bridge between two worlds. It can't fall, but it also can't fully reach either side. And that's what makes its greatest secret so captivating. Culture in Armenia is like a multifaceted mirror, each side reflecting a different image. At traditional festivals like Vardavar, people splash water on each other, dance and laugh, that same Eastern, passionate and intimate spirit. But just a few hours later, if you go to a concert in Yerevan, you'll find modern lighting, jazz music, formal clothes, and young people who could be standing in the heart of Paris. In one night, you can witness two completely separate worlds. One in the narrow cobbled streets with the smell of fresh bread, and the other in modern halls with European DJs. Armenia is like a living mosaic. Every piece comes from a different civilization and culture. In the northern part of the country, you'll see the stone architecture of thousand-year-old churches, reminiscent of Europe. While in the south, there are markets full of spices, tea, and the voices of vendors who seem to have come from the heart of the Middle East. In art schools, students learn Renaissance painting, but also how to design Persian carpets. At weddings, mothers shed tears with old traditional songs, but at the same time, DJs play modern pop music, and young people dance with the lights of their mobile phones. Armenia is a place where East and West don't fight each other, they live together. And this might be the most beautiful contradiction in the world, a place where a nation has managed to create one unified identity from two opposing cultures, an identity that is both Eastern, both European, and truly unique. When you look at the streets of Yerevan, you feel like you're in a city that's suspended between the past and the future, between tradition and modernity. But it's precisely this suspension that has made it so unique and memorable. Today, when you enter Yerevan, you feel like time has lost its way in this city. On one street, you'll see buildings with large windows and iron frames, relics of the Soviet era, cold, silent, full of communist memories. But just a few steps away, you'll reach Nork Marash Street, where you'll see the younger generation walking around in modern clothes, with iPhones in hand, drinking espresso and living a European lifestyle. One half of the city lives in the past, while the other half is in the future. At Yerevan State University, some professors still teach with a Russian accent, but students are writing English papers on their laptops, dreaming of a visa for Germany or France. In the old parks, Lenin and Stalin statues still stand tall, but just a few meters away you'll see modern graffiti with slogans like freedom and Europe on the walls. This contrast is not only in the city's appearance, but also in the minds of its people. The older generation still trusts the East, but the younger generation has its heart set on the West. Fathers speak of the days when the Soviet Union brought order, but their sons dream of a future where freedom is paramount. This generational conflict has made Armenia always in flux, but never fully change. Like a river flowing toward Europe, but with its roots firmly planted in the soil of Asia. And this subtle struggle between two continents is both beautiful and bitter, because people raised between two cultures always have to make a choice. But in Armenia, no one is willing to choose. They prefer to have both worlds, with all the contradictions, all the glory, and all the scars. Now it's time to go deeper. Armenia is not just a point on the map, it's a concept, a human experience of living between two worlds. When you walk through the streets of Yerevan and hear the call to prayer blending with the church bells, you realize that here, East and West really do breathe together. In one alley, there might be a woman in a traditional colorful scarf making sangak bread, and in the next alley, a young girl in modern clothes with headphones in her ears, recording an English-language vlog. In cafes, elderly men sit proudly sharing memories of the Soviet era, while just a few tables away, young people work on their laptops for European startups. At first, you might think this contrast is a cultural problem, but no, it's a matter of survival. Armenia has learned to live with its contradictions, not fight them. While many countries are in search of their identity, Armenia proudly says, "I come from two worlds." This country shows that you don't have to be from one side to be strong. You can be a bridge between East and West, a meeting point between two cultures that have been separated for years. And maybe it's Armenia that's teaching the world how, in a world full of borders, humanity can remain borderless. When you watch the sunset from the top of Mount Ararat, The sky rises from the east and dies in the west, just like the spirit of Armenia that moves between two lights, two histories, and two worlds. Here, at this specific point on Earth, Europe and Asia are no longer two continents. They are two breaths in one body, a body called Armenia.